Hey everybody, Patty Ann here. Shannon from our group had wanted me to show her how to trace this thing because she was having trouble with it. So the first thing that I told her was she'll probably have to trace it by color because these colors are all so light, there's not that much difference between the blacks and the whites. So let me show you what I mean. If she just goes to select the trace area regularly and then traces around them, uh, it's not going to work very well. Unfortunately, this computer that I'm using right now is a little bit slow, so you'll have to bear with me. I'm using my old laptop, but this is the kind of stuff she's getting. Even though she ups the threshold, she still doesn't get exactly what she wants. Okay, so that's when I said, well, instead of tracing it like that, you need to trace by color. And if you have the designer edition of the software or above, you can do this. So you go to the same piece of toast or butterfly over here, which is the trace tool. This time, instead of doing the first thing, we're going to do the second, which is an eyedropper, and that allows you to trace by color. So I'm going to say trace by color, and I'm going to come over here and I'll trace the green part. And I'm going to up the tolerance right here so I get all the green in there. There we go. That's a perfect little trace right there. I could up it maybe a little bit more to see what happens. That looks good. So I'm just going to say trace and detach. So when that piece is done, it's basically done. So if we were doing this out of vinyl or out of cardstock or something like that, this would be your first piece. And as soon as my computer finishes with this, I'll show it to you. Okay, we can drag that piece right off of there and look at that. That would cut perfectly like that. Okay, the next thing I would do is I would probably do, well, this white's probably ready to go. All right, well, not quite, because look, his eyeballs are still in there. So let's bring it down here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'll go ahead and trace by color again, and I'll trace his eyes up the threshold, or the tolerance in this case. Okay, so I changed it to all areas, so it got both eyeballs at the same time, which is perfect. And I'll just say trace and detach. All right, and there his eyes done. And actually what I could do right now before I go ahead and move them is just click on this one, hold down my shift key, click on the other one, and right click in group or just hit Control G for group, and then move those up onto my other part of the image. And I'll continue to trace by color like this. I'll say trace by color. I'll get the green around his eyes, up the tolerance, up a little more. Too far up, as you can see, because I've got some jagged lines right here. So I'm going to use this little down arrow to get rid of a little bit of that. There we go, perfect. So I'll say trace and detach. So what I'm doing right now is I'm showing her how she could make this into an SVG. But honestly, what she wanted were stickers. So I'll show that in just a few minutes. Let's take these eyeballs up here. There we go. And then this white. Well, we still have his beak to do. So I would once again trace by color, get his beak. And I think that you get the idea. I don't think I need to go through all of these pieces, especially since this computer is so slow. But I would trace and detach again. So then what I'm going to do next is she not only wanted to know how to make a sticker, but how can she put them on a sheet for Cricut Design Space. There's that. And then here's this part. But we could continue on, but I'll finish for there for now. I would have to do his feet still, obviously, but I'll just delete this and delete this, all this. Okay, I've cleaned off my screen and I'm going to show Shannon the easiest way I found today to make this into a sticker. So I'm going to right click and paste and bring my image back in, and here it is. It's a little hard to trace this fellow because he's so light. There's not that much contrast between dark and light. But a way you can make it easier is to come over here to this little shape that looks like a half moon. Click on that to open it. And then go over here to the second button in that says Colorize. So what you're going to do is click on that. The word hue is here. You're going to change the hue of this little guy to make him darker. So he's going to be easier to trace. So I'm kind of making him this bluish color, which I found was pretty easy to trace. I'll leave him like that. Get rid of this. Then I'll just open up the trace panel again. Select the trace area. And trace this area. Let's get rid of this so I can see if I'm getting it all traced. All right, so we want to up the threshold, obviously, so we get the whole guy colored in, perfect, just like that. And then I'm just going to say trace and detach. And again, it won't always take this long. Okay, so there that is done. So now I can remove this backing from behind him and just delete it. Delete and delete. Delete and delete. So we're left with him. And now I can change his color back if I want to the color he was originally. So I'll click on him to highlight him, come back over here to this half moon shape, go back to the second icon in from the left, and change the hue back to 0. And that's the color he was originally. So now all I have to do is go ahead and add an offset to him. To do that, you simply come to the offset panel, which is the star with an offset on the right over there. And I'll just leave it at the default. No, I'll leave it at the default. Let's see. Yeah, that'll be okay. If I want to make it, I could make it a little bit bigger so you could see it more clearly. All right. So then I'm just going to fill that offset with white by coming up here at the upper left-hand corner, change it to white. And you can see the nice offset. I'll say apply. Okay, so this is a perfect sticker for what she wants. It's got a nice offset. Whoopsie daisy, before we move anything, you need to group the offset with the image. So I can right click and group, or I can hit Control G and group. All right, so there's that. And she wanted to know how she could make enough of these for, or how would she put a sticker sheet together for Cricut Design Space. Well, let's pretend like she wants these to be about 1 inch by 1 inch or something like that. Maybe 1.5 by 1 and almost a half. So there's her little sticker. So what I would do if I were her is this. I would come over here to the box and just draw a box out. And then I would make that box the size that you can use in Cricut Design Space for print and cut. So the width we know can be, 6.75, and hit enter. And the height can be 9.25 and hit enter. So that's how much space you have over there in Cricut Design Space when you're doing print then cut. So the next thing that I would do is just bring him over here. He needs to be right click and bring to the front. Put him on here. And what I can do right now is come over here to the duplicate panel, and I can say fill page. And that's going to fill the page with him. But as you can see, it filled the whole page that I have right there. So what I should have done, let's Control Z and undo that. What I probably should do is go back to my page setup And the very first button here is the page setup. I'll make my media size custom, and I'll make it be 6.75. 6.75. Again, I'm using the dimensions for print then cut for Cricut. 6.75 by 9.25. Enter. Okay, so that's all the space we have for Cricut Design Space. So I no longer even need this blue thing here. So what I can do now is just click on him once and go to the replicate panel again and say fill page. And then this is going to fill the page for stickers for Cricut Design Space. However, looks to me like I could fit a lot more on there, right? Because they're going to be just peeled off. So what I would probably do is grab this row right here, and I could come over here to the same replicate panel and just say duplicate it once to the right. So it's going to duplicate all of those to the right. And then maybe I'll want to drag these over a little closer and transform them so they're spaced horizontally like that. Don't know where those extra ones are coming from. Select these again, transform horizontally just like that. I could do the same thing for each one of these rows, just transform them, and then they'll fit nicely for Cricut, for Cricut Design Space. So I'd continue on like this. And as many of you know that take these kind of things that you've added an offset to Cricut Design Space, what I always like to do, so my machine can read the print and cut easily, is to go ahead and change this red color, the red line color of all of these, to a darkish gray or a medium gray. That. All right, so these are all ready now. So what I'm going to do is select this all, go File, Save Selection, save it to my hard drive, and I'll name it Owl for Cricut. And I'll save it as a JPEG. Now you'll only be able to save it as a JPEG if you have the business edition. So if you have the designer edition, you won't be able to do this part of it. I'll leave these alone and say save. Open up Cricut Design Space. And when you're in Cricut Design Space, you'll go to Upload, Upload an Image, Browse. Look for that image you just saved. It was Owl for Cricut. Open it. There it is. I'm going to say Complex. Continue. And I'm going to erase the stuff around him, but I want the nice offset to stay for my stickers. So I'm going to try it just as it is and see, does that get rid of the offset? I need to scroll in so I can tell more easily. Looks like it's still left the offset around these guys. You see it? It's a little tiny offset. So I do need to click here and a couple of these other places, though, to get rid of some of the white that I don't want. So I can scroll back out a little bit so it's easier to do this. Okay, let's see. Here. So these are going to be print then cut, and you design them for yourself, your own stickers over in Silhouette, and you're going to use those with your Cricut machine, whether it be an Explorer Air or a Maker, whatever you might have, it'll work in any of them. I'm just making sure that I'm getting rid of that white stuff there that I want a transparency right there. All right, so I'm going to say continue. I think I have it all. We'll be able to tell in just a minute. Yep, each one of these shapes looks perfect. Looks really good, so I'll say save. And once it's saved, it's right here. I can click on it and insert it. Now, in case it comes in at the wrong size, which sometimes happens, we know what size you need for Cricut Design Space for this print and cut to work. Now, if you look over here, this little warning sign shows us that we don't have the right size. So as you know, for Cricut Design Space, this image, I would unlock the lock, it has to be 6.75 wide by 9.25 tall. Okay, so now those are going to work perfectly. Notice the little sign is no longer here. And if you're wondering what is going to cut, remember the little trick for that, the little tip. Just come down here to where it says blank canvas. Nothing happens, but if you look up here, you'll see a little color, word color, and a little color box. You change that box to anything you want, and then you'll be able to see where exactly it's going to cut. So if I scroll way in, hopefully you will be able to see that indeedy duty, we do have the little offset around each one that we put on there. So all you need to do now is go make it, and they're all going to fit on one sheet as a print then cut. So that's how easy it is to make a sticker sheet for Cricut Design Space. Shannon, I hope this helped you today. Hey, if any of you like my videos, please give me the thumbs up and subscribe. I'm trying to get my subscription level up. Also, check out the links down below. I really appreciate if you use my affiliate links. It just helps to fund PattyAnnesPlace and keep everybody creating. So again, thanks for joining me. I'll see you again next time. Bye.